I became a coach because I'm very passionate about physical and mental performance. From a young age, I was very energetic and enjoyed all sorts of sports. I wanted to join the military. I wanted to join the special forces and go as far as I could in that realms of a career. And I wanted to see where my limits were physically and mentally. And at the time, I thought that was the best way to test that. I suffered a knee injury skiing, and I could no longer pursue that. So I focused a bit more on coaching. Before that, several years before that, I had an experience with my younger brother. He was a very talented sailor, and he suffered what I felt like was a bit of an injustice. He was a very skillful sailor, had got some very good results on an international stage, but on the development pathway to trying to make it into the Olympic team, he matured late, and his physical capabilities, his height and his weight at a certain period of time were not determined suitable for this sailing category that he was in. So he then later went on to develop really well and got into windsurfing. But at the time I thought, this is, we're losing a very skillful and talented athlete when we should be using this individual to try and win medals in the Olympics. So I got into researching a bit more about long-term athletic development for younger athletes and when you should do certain types of training at certain types of time. And I was fascinated by this, as how the human body develops physically, hormonally as well, in order to maximize strength gains and endurance gains and flexibility depending on your age. And I think knowing this now, maybe I could have helped him, maybe I could have argued his case a bit more and hopefully got him into that Olympic team. Anyway, he's gone on to pursue a career in windsurfing, and physically he's very, very capable. But that's something that certainly I was very, very passionate about, is understanding in more detail how the human body developed. Linking it to your goals, linking it to your purpose would be my number one tip. And then in terms of micro habits, I think there's a whole host of things that you can do. I know nowadays doing things like a fake commute in the morning is a good place to start. In fact, anything first thing in the morning is a good place to start, in terms of that's probably the time where you can control the day a lot more. But attach it onto normal lifestyle things. So when I talk about the fake commute, if we're working from home, there is no commute. We're not going for that brisk walk out in fresh air anymore. So put that into your day in order to feel more focused and energized at work. That would be a big micro habit I would adopt nowadays. In terms of the lessons that you can learn from Formula One into the corporate world, I think it's really intriguing. In a Formula One race, the drivers, we look at the heart rates of the drivers, and whenever they're driving close to other competitors and they're really fighting for position, you can see the heart rate gets elevated. That's from the mental stress. They're not necessarily driving any quicker. In fact, sometimes they're driving a little bit slower when they're not taking the ideal lines. But they have that external stress on them, that pressure of the competitors, that pressure of making sure they're maximizing their performance. Likewise, in the corporate world, we feel that stress, we feel that pressure. Maybe when our job is on the line, we've got an important meeting, we've got to make important decisions. That constant pressure, that constant overload on us actually could lead to things like burnout without sufficient recovery. So we must take time to maximize, like they do after races. We have a bit of time in between races to maximize the recovery time. Within a week of a corporate individual's life, sometimes we don't focus on those recovery periods, and we're able to work for long periods of time, long hours during the day, without really switching off. So I think that's a big lesson we should take, is the ability to switch off and recover in order to produce those maximal performances again. Yeah, so actually very recently I've worked with a corporate individual who he has just lost his job, and he just broke his leg climbing. So he suffered a major break in the femur, landed from quite a high fall when he was climbing. And he turned to me in the next meeting and he said, yeah, I've lost my job and I've broken my leg, but I'm in a much happier place now than I was 6 months ago, which did cause a bit of a laugh. But again, it spoke about, you know, the emphasis of understanding an individual, understanding and them understanding their own identity and what's most important for them. And you know, it wasn't necessarily the job, it wasn't necessarily being able to climb, but it was more about, you know, he was there for his family, he was able to spend a bit more time on his own well-being, he was able to read a bit more, and even though he'd lost his job and he'd broken his leg, he was actually happier for it. So yeah, it's interesting what's most important to you isn't necessarily the things that you think are in the beginning. I think the most rewarding aspect of being a coach is helping people overcome challenges, and they can be, you know, physical challenges in sport, they can be mental challenges in business as well, and getting to know people in order to really connect with them, connect with their purpose. To do that is certainly always a privilege, and there's a lot of variety in that. I'd be lying as well if I didn't say that achieving results, helping your driver or a sportsman achieve podiums and try and win is also incredibly motivating.